Hello there, TBC members. We've just wrapped up our last episode of 2023. It's called Addiction, and we dive into some stuff that Jay's experienced on this particular topic. And there's also a nice segment where I get a surprise off Jay. Shout out, Jay.
Finger up the bum.
And it just, at the start, I go, woo! But yeah, there's a nice segment like towards the end as well to kind of like summarise 2023, you know, like fucking good it's been. And we fucking can't wait to start all this up again in the new year. And I want to wish everyone an amazing Christmas and Happy New Year, and enjoy our final episode. Stay sexy out there, TBC members. Peace. Hello, mate. Episode 11.
Episode 11, mate.
Here we are. We've not done one, just me and you, for quite some time. It feels like anyway.
Yeah, I know we've had a guest on for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then I can't remember what our last episode was before.
Stereotypes.
Oh yeah, stereotypes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Cheers,
episode,
anyone, mate. Last one of 2023.
Yeah, mate. We're having a little week off over Christmas, aren't we? And then we're going to pick it back up in the new year.
Yeah, on to bigger and better things.
Yeah,
so
mate.
today's episode is going to be a bit like the stereotypes one, where it's like a sort of mini interview, or like probing the other person and see what their reaction is to certain things.
Yeah.
So it's going to be myself. I'm going to be like sort of interviewing you about your sort of experiences surrounding addiction.
Yeah, so that's the title of this episode, isn't it? Addiction.
Addiction, yeah.
And obviously, I know it can manifest in several different ways, which you're kind of going to get onto.
Yeah.
But because I've had certain experiences with addiction, I kind of just wanted to do a little, my experience with it, and my struggles, and then you've got some like questions which I've not seen.
You've not seen them, no.
You offered me.
I asked you, and you was like, "Nah, let's go for it, like off script." Yeah.
Yeah, just raw, and not give me a chance to really think about it, because I feel like if you do, you can plan it, and then
I feel like you get the best answers out of the person if they don't see the questions.
Yeah, mate. Who knows? I mean? Might bring me to tears, and I
doubt it. I'm here for you, mate. If that happens, I'll cuddle the shit out of you if you go down.
It'll be sound.
But yeah, I think if you want to like start off by just telling us your sort of story or experiences surrounding addiction, and
absolutely,
you've got the floor, mate.
Yeah. Before we do it, I want to do something else, which is a surprise for you. It's only a little surprise.
Oh my god!
But with it being Christmas,
oh shit!
I feel like it's relevant. So
have I got to open a present live?
Yeah, for the
Holy
viewers.
Shit!
It's relevant. Like,
oh, it's wrapped perfectly, mate.
Obviously, mate. OCD.
I feel like I need to unwrap it without making such a mess.
Oh mate, fuck it. Fucking open it with your teeth. Shit.
Get in there, bite it.
Bite it like an ass.
Oh man, what is this?
The viewers are fucking hooked already, mate.
I can't open the cunt. Oh, what is this? It's a box for the listeners.
Yeah, it's a small brown box.
Small brown box. Oh my god! Oh my god, that is fucking
Turn it around.
Oh mate, that is world class.
Talk the viewers through what's inside.
TBC members, it is our first ever Trouble Boys Club mug with our Who You Drinking shit on there.
Yeah, mate.
Mate, that is world class.
Merry Christmas to you. I just wanted to get a little thing, obviously,
I feel terrible that I've not got you anything.
Mate, I didn't want anything.
Have you got one for yourself?
Nah. Beth said it before, because I showed Beth and she was like, that's sick. Like, she's like, you've got one. And I was like, no, I didn't need one. I wanted to get for you.
Oh, mate. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know you're probably not going to get any presents on Christmas Day, so that's so true. I just wanted to get you something nice, mate.
That is absolutely mega.
Because it's TBC related.
Can I pour my beer into the mug?
It's up to you, mate.
I can't wait for the morning to have a drink out of it. Right, let's do this shit. Oh, it's going in.
It's going to be hard now to delve into what I want to talk about. It's not deep, but oh man,
like you did.
Head on that. Nice.
Yeah, mate, you go. I'm going to admire this.
Yeah, you go to town on that frothy TBC mug beer.
Yeah, I didn't do it at the right angle, I don't think.
Oh, mate, don't worry. Yeah, so, all that aside, I wanted to talk about addiction, because that's obviously what the episode's on, and I was going to talk about my experience of it. Now, for me, like, something I battled with quite a bit in the past, and just for clarity, I'm now nearly 30, and this obviously kicked this when I was like 25, so I wouldn't say clean. I've not been like injecting fucking meth into my eyeballs and shit, but not obviously done it in 5 years. So for me, my struggles with addiction was with weed, aka marijuana.
The ganja, man.
Yeah, so it probably started, like for most people, around about the age of 15. Got into different kind of friendship groups, and the lads I was chilling with was all like, into that stuff already. I wouldn't say I felt peer pressured, but around that age, because he was all doing it, I was kind of like more curious. Kind of got into it, more casual than anything. Every now and then, like, because obviously I was in school, so I didn't like do it in school or anything like that. It was more on a weekend or an evening, and I kept it to myself as well. Like, my parents didn't know or anything like that. And then, yeah, it was very casual. It weren't really an issue then. Like, I could give it or take it, really. And then I'd say it was more when I was about 17, and I got with who is now my ex-partner. I got with her. She was very into the weed.
Was she?
Yeah.
As in before you got together?
Just in general, like the kind of life and the walk she walks, like, she was from a family that, like, was like drug dealers, and so she was. So
it was very normalised.
Well, she was like open to it, whereas I got introduced to it kind of through friends and just did it like on the side every now and then. Whereas she was kind of brought up in that environment. So yeah, when we got together, started kind of doing a little bit more. Again, it weren't really an issue. It was kind of like give and take. Every now and then, sometimes might go a month for something without smoking it, and then other times might smoke it like every day for a week. And then yeah, like we lived together, moved in together quite early on when we was like 18. So having our own place and everything like that, we kind of just did it casual and on our own clock, really. We never did it like before work or anything like that. It was always like work done, cook tea, clean the house, and then like 8-ish o'clock we'd fucking get a baseball bat out and fucking spark it up. Like, it was never an issue. It never, like, like, say, like, with some alcoholics, it interferes with the everyday life where they, like, sneaking, like, whiskey into work and drinking
into, like, coffee mugs or something.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it was never like that. It was more, like I said, it just become more and more of a thing, and then it was more like when I, like, graduated uni and started working, like, full-time at work. And she was already full time anyway. So this is probably more around like 2021, and like we was in a house, we had a house together, and then yeah, it just become a daily thing at this point without even like realizing, like, you transitioned into it. Yeah. Because I remember probably having several conversations being like, right, this weed thing's becoming a bit too much now, like, and she'd be like, no, I want to smoke it, like, you don't have to smoke it. But then when you're around someone and they're smoking it, you kind of want to get in on it. And then obviously, like, for me, I think my relationship was kind of going like south as well.
What, as a result of this?
Just in general, and it probably was as a result of that, but there was several other factors too. And then, and as well, I like moved away from home because I moved to Huddersfield. Yeah, I was obviously away from family, I was away from you, and probably felt a bit isolated. So for me, it was not a coping mechanism, but it was kind of like a numbing feeling and a bit of like an escape from reality. So like, as sad as it sounds, like I might have been suffering with depression or something at the time and not even known. So like, I'd feel quite low and not really excited about anything. I go to work, finish work, come home. Like I said, still have that routine of like tidy, make sure the house is clean, pots are done, cook tea, everything like that. And then yeah, just be like, get the weed out again, and probably only have like 3 joints like shared between us. And then it put you in like a nice high where you'd just be sat there, mellow, watching
ready
telly,
to go bed.
Not not worrying about anything. So you weren't worrying about like money issues or your family, like your parents, because obviously we know from previous episodes that was always like at the back of my head, with obviously my dad being like a violent kind of guy with my mum and stuff like that. So subconsciously that was probably like numbing them thoughts too. And then, like I said, because me and my partner weren't really getting on a lot, and I think the relationship was going quite south, it was also an escape from that too, because I knew if I was high and she was high, we'd just kind of get on because we was both high, and there weren't any arguments, because you're not built up with all this anger and stress, because you just fucking, it's like you're escaping your body for a minute, and that's how it felt for me. So, like I said, at this point, we've been doing this now from like 21, 22, 23, 24. And then I noticed it being a bit of a problem, and we both had several conversations on, and we both like, it needs to stop now, because one, it's going to like ruin our relationship. Two, it's costing a lot of money.
Yeah.
We weren't spending that much on it. It was probably about, I'm trying to figure it out in my head, probably somewhere from about £150 to £200 a month. So you're talking about 50 quid a week. That's split between us, £25 each. It's not like breaking the bank. Do you know, like some people spend like £30 a day on weed. Do you know what I mean? Whereas we was quite, like I said, because we was quite sensible with it, we'd only have like 2 or 3 at the night. Some people wake up and smoke all day. Do you know what I mean? and as well, the difference with us, one thing that used to bug me, I'd only smoke it in the evenings all the time regardless. Yeah. Whereas on a weekend, she'd wake up and wake and bake.
And start, yeah.
She'd get a spliff and start smoking it, and I'd be like, so I've got to deal with some fucking mongy stoned person all day, do you know what I mean? But it was fine, because like I said, it used to chill her out, because without it, she was a bit, you know, a bit aggy and start arguments for no reason and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think like we said, we both wanted to kind of kick it anyway, and like, in her defence, she was a lot more determined than I was, and like, you know, she was very much like, no, it's done now, we're not like getting any more, like blah blah blah. And then I'd go to work, have a bit of a shit day, we might have had a bit of a blip on the way home, like an argument or something, and then in my head I'd just be like, I need it, like
just to get you through the night sort of thing,
just to kind of numb my feelings. And I was using it as a numbing tool a lot, and she'd be like, no, we're not doing it, and I'd be like, I need it. I'd be like, right, well, fine, like, you don't do it. I'd be like, but I'll do it, and I'll stand outside the house and not, you know, put it in front of you, so it's not fair on you. And obviously it got really bad. Got to the point where I reached out to a local, like, not like a AA kind of thing, but
something similar.
It was like a local drug support giving up system kind of thing, and I was willing to try anything at this point, because I deep down I was just thinking like, I can't give it up. I'm fucking hooked on this fucking shit. So I met this dude anyway, it's through the council, and it was the biggest waste of fucking time ever.
I didn't know you did this.
No, I've not told anyone, mate. Like, just, do you know what I mean? It just is what it was. And like when I met him, I remember fucking walking upstairs and kind of telling him shit that I've just been saying then, and he was just dead unhelpful. I remember he had like a bit of an attitude from the moment I got there, because I would think I was like about 2-3 minutes late, and he was like, you can't be turning up late to stuff like this. And I was like, no, I apologise, mate, like there weren't any parking, so I had to like circle around and find somewhere to park. Anyway, yeah, it was fucking super useless, and I can't even really remember the shit that he told me to do. I think he like just printed out a few shit pieces of paper and was like,
that you could have got yourself from anywhere. It was
like, we'll be in touch in the next few weeks, check how you're doing and get something else sorted. And it never even fucking rang me again. So I was like, right, sound. And then it carried on being an issue to the point where we'd be oversleeping, because obviously, like, I don't know if it's the same for anyone, but when you smoke, I feel like it's harder to then wake up in the morning, because you just a bit more paralysed when you sleep.
Is it like when you go into a proper deep sleep?
Yeah, like, and we'd be waking up late in the morning, and then this is obviously before all COVID and shit, so we was all in the office 5 days, and where I worked, most people back then as well, if you was late, you was made to feel like a dickhead about it, like, you know, and it'd set your day off shit, and you'd be like, oh, I'm really sorry I'm late, and stuff like that, and you'd have to message and make up excuses and stuff, whereas now, like, I could fucking walk in work and fucking 10 o'clock if I wanted, and no one would say shit, do you know what I mean? And I'm only in 2 days as well, like, as long as I get my work done, that's all that matters. Whereas back then it was like you have to be clocked in for 9 and then you go home at fucking 5:30. You know, it's a lot weirder back then. But anyway, fast forward a little bit more. I'd had enough. Obviously not just because of the weed, but other stuff that I'm not going to obviously talk about out of respect. But the relationship at this point was done.
Yeah.
I'd like ended it, and for me, when I ended it and took myself out of that toxic situation, I moved in with my older brother and his partner at the time for, I think it was about 3 months or something. And weirdly enough, as I did that, it was on like New Year's Eve 2019. Not exactly on New Year's Eve, it was like the 30th or something like that. So just before COVID popped off. Literally just before, because it was in lockdown like 3 months later. So I always think, like, imagine if I didn't do that then, I would have had to go through lockdown in that. Do you know what I mean?
In that environment.
It would have been horrible. But yeah, I took myself out of the toxic situation and never touched weed again. Didn't even crave it, because I moved in with people that didn't smoke it. I think for a slight moment, I kind of like swapped it with drink a little bit. Yeah. And I needed to like have a couple of cans of beer or a couple of glasses of wine before bed, because I was switching it for that. It was again getting to sleep, because when I did that and totally switched my life around, it was like fucking 7-year relationship or whatever. I couldn't sleep. No, I couldn't sleep for ages. I was tossing and turning all night. I went on sleeping tablets, like everything to try and sleep. It was mad. But yeah, like give it up, went cold turkey, and then once I passed like the 2-week mark, that was it. Then it was done. I won't no longer even give a shit about it. So yeah, and that's like how I overcome it. And at the time as well, that's when I went vegetarian too.
As well as?
Did it both at the same time. Give up weed and stop smoking meat. Stop smoking meat.
Smoking meat.
Stop smoking weed and stopped eating meat. Both at the same time, and never look back. You know, I've never ate meat since then. I've never smoked weed as well since then. I have had an incident where I got one of them weed patterns.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different kind of thing. And weirdly enough, like, didn't agree with me. Like, it was the same high and it was mint. And I was buzzing thinking, like, oh yeah, mate, like, I can get high on this. But the reason I stopped doing that, which was very easy, I only did that for like a month. And then the way I give that up, every night when I got into bed, I couldn't switch my brain off.
Yeah.
Whereas back then I could get in bed and just nod off. And I can do that without it, like even now. But when I was smoking this pen, I was getting in bed and like my brain was moving like 1,000 miles an hour and all these weird thoughts were popping into my head and I couldn't push it away. But it was like that, like do you know, like
just constantly
rapid
there.
Spinning around in my head, different thoughts flashing in my head, proper horrible thoughts as well. And I remember just thinking like, this is fucked up. I'm not smoking this again. Yeah. I never smoked it again. I like literally threw the pen away the next day, which is mad. But yeah, that's just my story on addiction. Like, it's obviously people that have worse stories and worse struggles, but you know, it was for a moment and like a period in my life, like I struggled with it for like a good 5 years or something, where like I couldn't stop it. I was probably in denial for a long time as well, because like I didn't want to give it up because I loved it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's like, I've not got a problem.
That's probably like what when I used to say about my dad and stuff with like the alcohol. Like, he knows it's an issue. Like, it's not good for his liver, his lungs. Like, it's obviously made him have a big fucking beer belly, and you know. And if he didn't drink that, like, where would he be now? He'd probably be in a way different place. He'd like probably still have his kids, his grandkids. He'd be in good nick, good shape.
I suppose what the difference is though, like in his situation, the addiction, should we call it, won, whereas in your situation, the addiction lost.
Like I noticed it was making me spiral, and it weren't as that as I felt like scruffy, and I'd get the munchies, so I was just eating shit all the time. Like, you know, I just noticed myself getting a bit more grim and not taking care of myself. And then when I give it up and I went veggie and weren't smoking, I noticed that I started to like blossom a bit more, and you know, without sounding cringe, but get a bit more of a glow, and you know, taking care of myself more. And it weren't even as that, like when you don't smoke it and you smell, if you walk into someone else's and they smoke, it stinks. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you can clearly tell it's like bare people smoke weed in this gaff, and like, But because we was in the house all the time, you couldn't smell it. And like thinking back, people must have come round and it must have langed the fucking floor all the time. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to share that story because we're doing the episode on addiction, and you know that's kind of something that I had a bit of an issue with. Like I said, I've not now for like 5 years, and I'd never smoke it again now. Like, you know,
you don't want to like open the door.
Well, yeah, there's been opportunities where someone's had it in front of me and gone like, Jay, do you want some of this? And I've just gone, nah. And they've gone, oh yeah, and I've gone, no, I don't want any. Like, do you know what I mean? One, I think it's fucking grim. And then two, like I've got kids now as well, so I wouldn't want to do it having kids. And then three, I wouldn't want to do it and possibly put myself back in that position of, do you know what I mean? It's like,
for the sake of a fucking couple tokes or whatever.
Because some people can like give and take it, do you know what I mean? Like, same, like us, for example, with alcohol, like, we don't drink every day. And I know we say it all the time on the podcast. Like we're trying to convince ourselves, but we probably drink like once a week, if that. And when we do, it's like 3 beers or something.
Yeah, it's not going to scratch the surface.
But that's what I mean. Like we can go the rest of our week and not even think about beer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the only thing I'm addicted to is fucking pussy, mate. No, but like with beer, don't give a shit. But whereas with weed, that had me because I was addicted to the feeling. That's what it was. It was the feeling that I was addicted to. That numbness and taking away the anxiety.
So the substance could have been peanut butter. It was just that feeling that you wanted.
Yeah, like, because with beer, I love, obviously, having a drink, but it's more like if we go out and it's like, you're having a good chat and, like, you know, maybe a couple of games of pool and, do you know, just like having a bit like football on and, you know, you've not got work the next day. You've not got your kids in the morning, you can have a lie-in. Like, I'll do it then. But day to day, it doesn't interest me because, you know, the buzz that you get from it doesn't suit my lifestyle.
You have to do it in the right environment, don't you?
And to be fair, you living on your own, you probably could get waved every night. But then doing it on your own, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Like,
but that's when that would become an issue for me. You know what I mean? So like you said, when the whoever offered it you, I don't want to open that door and just sit here on my own fucking boozing. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get any buzz off that. If you know what I mean, I get a buzz like you said, being out with my mates, few games of pool, watching a bit of footy. Like that's the right environment to enjoy a drink. I think in your own house, on your own, is probably the worst time to enjoy a drink.
Definitely. Like we always say, we've never got like beers in our fridge or anything.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, and if they're any left over, like tonight, I'll be drinking them.
Right, mate. Well, enough of my fucking.
Yeah, that's really shit. Good. Like, good of you to share that out there, mate. And
that's what it's about. Do you know what I mean? Being open and not hiding anything. I've got nothing to hide on here. There's just a couple of things that I wouldn't talk about out of respect of other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But if it's about me, fuck it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point of this pod, isn't it? To fucking open up, and you know we've had people open up to us and message us, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is, mate. It's really good. So I've been doing a bit of recon on like addiction, like itself.
Yeah.
Just to try and I just like doing that kind of shit. You know, like to put yourself in the sort of like mind of a person that might like have it and stuff like that.
Yeah, mate. Well, you're a sick researcher anyway. You do all the research.
Do lots of research.
Like you smash it.
So I'm just gonna read a little like paragraph that I found out like this week. So it says that addiction's categorised as a mental health disorder that causes cognitive, behavioural and physiological symptoms, but there's also a condition that's sort of in the same, under the same hood as addiction, called SUD, which is substance use disorder, and this affects a person's brain and behaviour, which leads to their inability to control their use of substances such as drugs and alcohol, or medications. Because you heard...
So like people understand like painkillers
and stuff like that. Yeah. And that made a lot of sense to me because I've just finished Matthew Perry's book.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, and he was like a lifelong addict on like drugs, alcohol, and he said the biggest one that he had to try and kick was like opiates or opioids or something like that. And what that apparently does
That's like big in America and that, isn't it?
Yeah, there was like a big opiate epidemic in like the 90s, I think, or something like that, and apparently what it does when you take it, it goes into your, I think your liver does the converting of the sort of, when you take the substance, goes to your liver then, what's the word, like funnels it out into your system.
Right.
And it converts it into heroin.
Shit.
Apparently, I could be wrong, but that's what I was like reading and stuff. So imagine he was taking the opiate because he knew it would be like a heroin high without having to inject.
Of course.
And he said that was like the biggest biggest problem that he had to overcome, which was the painkillers. Because he'd make up like stories that he had migraines or stomach pains just to get the opiates.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's mad. And apparently another thing is when a person develops an addiction to a substance, it's because their brain started to change. And this happens because addictive substances trigger an outsized response when they reach the brain. Instead of a simple, pleasurable surge of dopamine, many drugs such as opioids, cocaine or nicotine cause dopamine to flood to the reward pathway, which is 10 times more than a natural reward.
No way.
Meaning that what I sort of like took from that is when you have those substances, you get 10 times the reward energy in your brain from taking that substance. So naturally, your brain will want it more because it's been like, yo, this is absolutely mint. We want more.
That's mad. So while she's telling me, I'm just trying to find this documentary on Netflix. That's what you are saying is like bang on, because I can't remember the name of it. We watched it recently, and it's similar to what you were saying about Matthew Perry with the drugs. I can't remember what it was, but there was these drugs circulating around, and they basically like lied to people and said it was like.
Oh, for the subscriptions?
Yeah, and it was like...
It was in America, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
People got hooked on it hard. And it turned out it had heroin in it. And that's
what it is. I think it was called like the opioid epidemic or something like that. I think that might have been the name of the Netflix thing, to be fair.
What's it? Opioid?
Yeah.
Fuck knows how my dumbass brain's going to spell opioid.
I've got it wrote down here, to be fair, if you want a copy of that.
I'm just going to type it in now and see if it comes up, because it was really good. I think it's actually just called Painkiller. Yeah, it is.
Painkiller, yeah.
That one there.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was just called Painkiller, but yeah, they developed this drug to help with pain, and it ended up like everyone was getting hooked on it and like fucking turning up at like fucking pharmacists like booting off and like asking for more, and they say no, and then they'd like proper like start fighting them and shit because it was, you know, massively hooked on it, similar to what you were saying then.
Yeah, it's a real thing that can become like very addictive, like painkillers and stuff. And lastly, about like the reward system and stuff. Apparently that's one of the most primitive parts of the brain, and it's developed as a way to reinforce behaviours that we need to survive. So like primitive will be like our brain that when we were like apes and shit, you know, like pre-evolution. That's what it means by the reward system is one of the most primitive parts of the brain. That's what that means. So it reinforces behaviours that we need to survive, such as eating. So when we eat foods, the reward pathways activate a chemical called dopamine, which in turn releases a jolt of satisfaction, and that encourages you to eat again. Yeah. Or it might encourage you to smoke again, or, you know, have the substance again. Yeah. Because your brain thinks it's
getting that feeling. Or whatever.
It's getting that feeling, and it thinks it's helping you survive because it's getting that increase of dopamine. But when in fact the primitive brain won't understand that this substance is doing harm. Yeah, exactly.
That's going back to the feeling again, isn't it? Like the brain's probably wanting that fucking feeling and stuff, and
yeah, you sort of your brain sort of like can't, from what I understand there, it sort of can't distinguish the good reward and bad reward. It's just simply the reward in the middle, good or bad. Your brain will want it more because it's like I like that. I want it again. But yeah, so do you want me to unload some questions for you?
Yeah, mate.
I think the more questions than I got, because I got like statements, didn't I?
Yeah, yours was more fingers. Yeah, are these more like open?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they can take us down some rabbit holes. To be fair, mate.
Yeah, mate.
So, like you mentioned in like the intro and your little segment there, like while you with your ex-partner, you relied heavily on the ganj, and I wanted to ask, like, did you actually like the way it made you feel, or were you more concerned about the weed removing how you were feeling in real life? I suppose what I'm asking by that is,
probably both.
Both.
Yeah, I think because obviously I know I mentioned about like I used it as like a escaping mechanism, like escaping from reality, and I've mentioned in other stuff using the metaphor of a plaster, because that's all it ever was. Like you was putting that plaster on, and then obviously when you wake up the next day, it's kind of like dissolved, and you're no longer like numbing yourself because you crack on with the day. But I definitely used it as that, but also as well, I did like the feeling, because it just felt like I'm trying to think of like a way to describe it, but like you was just kind of on a cloud, and
like you weren't in real life.
And again that alludes back to like escaping from reality, so the feeling, and it massively reduced like anxiety and having to like think about stressful things, because when you are high, you're just kind of chilling, like you just zone out and you just don't really give a shit. But actually one thing that I used to listen to quite a lot, and I was actually going to get it, I was actually going to play it on my phone, but I'm not going to prepared, so it'd be really messy for me to do so. But Frank Ocean has an album called Blonde.
Yeah. Is that one with Nike's on and that?
Yeah, it's a sick album. It's probably like in the top 3 albums of all time, but I've listened to it so much that like I've just killed the album basically. But it's definitely up there in terms of like creativity and overall vibe, and every single tune's a smash and stuff. But there's like I think it's called an interlude, where someone like talks, and it's his mum, and it's like mid-album, and he's got a recording of her talking about weed and saying not to do it because, and I quote, I could be wrong, but she says it makes you sluggish, lazy, and unconcerned.
Yeah.
And every time I listened to it gave me goosebumps, because I was just like, it's so fucking true. And
is that exactly how it made you feel?
Yeah, and again I was aware it was making me feel like that, and that this is at the point when I was wanting to stop, but then at the same time I was like, but I'm just so in love with that feeling of escaping reality and
being unconcerned,
not having any anxiety or stress or problems or arguing with my partner at the time, like. And for me, it was just like, it was just an escape. But I also knew it did make you sluggish and lazy, and that's why I didn't do it during the day, because if I had any weed, like, I couldn't have done my day. I couldn't have done any work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to clean, cook. Probably just want to make like a fucking burger or something and munch it, and then just eat chocolate and Doritos and shit and drink cans of Coke.
Just be a pig for the day, sort of thing.
Just watch shit on telly.
Fucking Harold and Kumar and that.
Every night. On loop. But yeah, so I got that answers that question.
Yeah, that's good. And did you become aware of any like differences in your personality, like during and like when you were trying to stop, like, and what were those?
I'd say I was already a bit like introverted, in general, but I feel like that made me a bit more in my shell, because it definitely makes you paranoid as well, and I think that didn't help. And at the time as well, I used to have another mate who also used to smoke weed, and at my workplace it was just me and him that smoked weed, and we both used to talk about it quite a lot. But he smoked well more than me. Like I said, like I'd have like 1.5 joints a night, because we used to have 3 between us. But he'd smoke like, he'd finish work, get in his car, spark up a joint and drive home, and smoke a joint while he's driving home.
Wow.
And then he'd like smoke pretty much all night. But yeah, I'd definitely say it made me a bit more introverted, probably a bit paranoid in terms of like, wouldn't ever say paranoid, but I think it does make you overthink stuff a bit more, and I don't know, really, but yeah, I definitely noticed a change over time. And as well, I'd also kind of like find myself wanting to cut plans early, because I wanted to go home and smoke. So, do you know, like, saying me and my partner was like, went out for the day, and we went to like Scarborough or something, and we was having a nice day. Like, now not doing that, if I didn't have kids, I wouldn't be in a rush to go home with my now partner, because we'd just enjoy the day together. But the only reason why we'd want to go home is because we'd probably be knackered because we have kids and we'd want an early night. But other than that, like, I'd want to like enjoy the night and stuff. But it'd hit like 4 o'clock or something with us, and we'd be like, should we get home and fucking, you know, get fucking high? So I'd say, yeah, it started to just become a bit of a problem in terms of like probably like encouraging antisocial behaviour. Really.
I was going to say that sounds like it affected you socially then in that aspect, because you'd be like, right, well, I'll come, but I'm not coming past fucking 7 or 8.
Yeah,
like, I've got to get home.
But for example, like at your wedding, which was abroad,
yeah,
it weren't an issue then, because I was still in that moment then of being addicted to it.
Yeah.
But because I was out of that environment, and I was obviously with you and in another country and stuff, I didn't even think about it. Do you know what I mean? It weren't a thing.
So it was only when you went back into the environment it sort of
pretty much. Because if I stayed out, if I went
again.
back to my parents and stayed there for the night, I wouldn't smoke. No. And if I stayed at my brother, I wouldn't smoke. Like, it weren't a thing. It was more just when I got back into that bubble.
Yeah.
It do you know what I mean? And again, that's probably because I associated it with my partner at the time. And yeah.
That could be like a brain thing as well. Like your brain's like, oh, I'm abroad. I don't need it now. But then your brain will be like, oh, I'm in this same house where we normally do this thing, and then it'll tell you like, are we fucking getting on with this or what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your brain's fucking
and
powerful,
like,
innit?
And sometimes, mate, like we'd go like 2 days about it and be like buzzing, and then it'd get to like the weekend and we'd be like,
sure we
just do it, like, you know, it's a treat. And then like
you chat shit to yourself, don't you?
Exactly, you're just convincing yourself that it's okay, even though you know it's not. But like I said, I always used it as like a coping mechanism for like anxiety and just escaping reality, because I was probably in a bit of a down, depressed, low place at the time without even really. I probably did realise, but I probably just pushed it to the back of my head and suppressed it all them years. Yeah.
So that's like the leads onto that one. So like when did you decide, or not decide, but what was like the sort of like turning point where it was like, this really is fucking my life up at the minute? Like,
it was the constant, because we at the time we both worked near each other. We both worked in Bradford, but I worked on the outskirts of Bradford, so like 15-minute drive from Bradford Centre, in a little like village called Saltaire.
Oh, that's in that brewery, wasn't it? That Saltaire
Brewery, yeah, I worked right near there.
Gorgeous.
And Salt Brewery as well. I worked right near both of them. But my partner at the time worked at in Bradford city centre, and she didn't drive, so obviously she used to come in with me in the car. And because we'd wake up late because of the ganj over, we'd then be rushing like fucking maniacs in the morning. And then we'd get in the car, and then it was like an hour drive as well, to like where our work was, and within that hour drive, it was never chill. It was always something would always start. Do you know what I mean? And an argument would always pop off, and I'd be like, in my head, I'd just be thinking like, is it really worth it? Like, yeah, it's amazing at the night, having that feeling, but then in the morning, because you do feel a bit hungover, like you still feel like a bit hazy still, but you're not high. Do you know what I mean?
Is that like where you like, you feel like you've not fully woke up yet, but you have that? Yeah,
that's the sluggish that I was saying about, like, so then in the morning you're feeling sluggish, and you know you need to like come round a bit, and obviously I was waking up late and like rushing, getting our clothes and jumping in the car, and then I was fucking bombing it down the motorway, still feeling a bit minging.
Yeah.
And then she was probably chatting shit and being negative about something and moaning about something, so then I'd just be like, can you just like shut the fuck up moaning like for 5 minutes? And then she'd be like, and then an argument would pop off out of that, and then it stemmed from there really, because we were probably arguing constantly, and I always felt like it was because of the weed, because we was feeling like sluggish and ratty. That's what we always used to say, was always ratty because of it, but only with each other. Like, I'd go to work and I wouldn't really be like it with anyone else. I could be a bit short, and that, you know, the guy at work that was a bit of a moaning prick. And
that can happen to anybody, like, can't it?
But yeah, that's when I probably noticed it, and I was like, this is a problem now.
So when you get in the car, you say it's like popping off, and then you'll both get home at the same time, and then you'll have some weed, and then there'll be no arguments, you'll both will be chilling, and then it's just like a rinse and repeat the cycle, isn't it?
That's what it was. It was like a daily occurrence. But then it become hard when I was obviously trying to give up, because we were still obviously arguing, but we didn't have that.
And that made you want it more, I bet, didn't it?
Yeah, and you know, there was points when I'd be like, I need it, and I'd be like itching, like literally like itching my arm, like fuck it, I need it, like I'm gonna, like, do you know what I mean, go insane and scream if not, like, and that's how much of a hold it had on me. It was horrible. Like,
I suppose the environment didn't help with your ex-partner being quite like volatile and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
That'd naturally make anybody want to just escape. Like, how many times?
It was very similar to, like I said, about my dad and how I grew up with my dad with the, you know, that kind of, you know, all that shit. And I probably felt like I was back in that scenario quite a lot, and, you know, that's why I wanted the weed to, like...
Do you think that contributed to your sort of, I don't, and that in brackets, addictive like personality, just observing how your parents surrounded their environment around alcohol? Do you think that contributed to your sort of, like, let's just call it addictive personality? Because
I don't know, because I was always very aware of the drink situation, and I knew obviously, like most of my family are like alcoholics and shit, so I was always very wary about the drink. But then I think with the weed, I think it was just an escape. But they'd probably say the same thing about the drink, to be fair. Like, the drink's like an escape for them from like everyday life. But then there's other things that you can do.
But their little escape from everyday life has ruined their lives.
No, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you sort of got it at the correct time to be like, no, I need to stop doing this, because it gets to a point where, you know, like if you sort of like at a balancing scale where the bad was outweighing the good, if you know what I mean, like the negative is outweighing the positive, the longer you were in this like hamster wheel with your ex-partner.
Yeah, no, of course. I was very aware as well. We both was, and like I said, there was times when she was like on it, mate, and really wanted to give up, but I struggled because I just wanted to be fucking high all the time. Like, do you know what I mean? And part of me like knew I didn't want to be in a relationship, and I was probably like battling with that at the same time, and thinking like, I've come so long, like we've been together for ages, like, you know, and I was just pushing through and thinking it'll get better. And then it was under the illusion that if we give up the weed would work, but it never did, because we were totally different people and had total different values in life. Do you know what I mean? I was very like just happy going along with life and having an easy life, whereas she obviously got caught up on very small things and made them massive issues. So yeah.
What would you like categorize that phase of your life as one of your unhappiest? Yeah,
always, mate. Like,
do you not look back on it with much fondness?
No, just in the start really, but it's funny because obviously a lot of them memories are revolved around Huddersfield, which is our happy place. But luckily it weren't dominated by that, because there was a lot of other good moments from Huddersfield, such as like you and uni, and obviously my older brother lived in Huddersfield, so you know, I had a lot of happy memories outside of that toxic situation. And then like so for instance, Halifax, because I lived in Halifax, didn't I, for like 2 years. That's a very dark place.
Really?
Like, when I ever go back there now with my kids and my partner to go to like say Eureka or something like that, I feel it when I go there.
A bit ick,
Cloud over me, and it was a dark time that in my life. That was probably the darkest time.
When you went to Halifax?
Yeah, because I didn't drive as well then, and that was quite dark because it was buses everywhere, and it was away from everyone. It was just me and her, and I remember like just fucking walking everywhere all the time, shopping, loads of fucking bags, walking everywhere, and it for some reason I just have a memory as well of Halifax. It was always rainy and dark and miserable and gloomy. Even though it probably weren't, but that's my memory of it.
Yeah.
And the weed shit.
It gets that very like isolating again, just being up there,
yeah,
just you two,
that's what it is.
No car.
It's the isolating, and the constant arguing, and you know, just a fucking dark time, mate.
Yeah. I've only got one more question for you. It's not a good one. Do you think people who are close to you, like such as myself, should have or could have intervened with your situation sooner?
Yeah, defo. He was a shit mate. Nah. No, not at all, really. Because we all live our own lives, and I masked it really, really well.
Yeah.
Because on the inside in, you know, I don't really think anyone really knew, to be honest, that I was that much of a fucking pothead. Like,
yeah, I was aware, obviously,
smoked it,
but I was just convinced that, like, nah, Jay's he's not fucking dumb enough to let it take over his life. Like, I had sort of well, maybe I convinced myself of that.
I think as well, because at that time as well, it's probably around the time just before you had your first child. Yeah. So obviously, like, you was busy, and, you know, I think you was like looking at getting married and starting a family, and I was obviously in my area of like just finishing uni and fucking just in a dark place and stuff. But I don't think anyone could have done anything for me. No, I don't. I think it was very much on me, and it was my way. It was up to. I feel like it was up to me to figure out what I wanted to do. And at the time, I very much wanted to stay in the relationship because I was in love with that person. But the bad started to outweigh the good a lot. And the problems started getting bigger, and, you know, the constant, like, paranoia over stuff and the constant arguing, and it just started to get really toxic and dark. And then that's obviously which led me to the point when I ended it, like, you know, and just said, like, I'm done. And it was like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I remember, like, I had a proper breakdown after it and was like, I felt so horrible for doing it and evil and stuff, but I had to put myself first in that situation because I hadn't done for 7 years. No. I always put myself second. No, I
remember us meeting up a few times.
I remember when we met, it was at
the Farrers.
It was in Greenfield, pretty much Grasscroft or whatever, but which, funnily enough, was a middle point for us both.
Yeah,
and that's where we both ended up moving to.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy, like, you know. So
I remember that was like
that was the day I met you, and it was around about the 28th of December or the 29th, because I remember we met.
We watched United, didn't we?
It was United and Burnley.
Burnley away,
I think United won 2-0.
Rashford scored, yeah.
And then Dan James got the second.
He did, yeah, fucking roll. Me, yeah.
And I remember we met and we both drove as well, and I think we probably had like 2 or 3 pints or whatever. And we met, and I sat you down and I said, like, and she was at home as well.
Yeah.
At your house getting stoned. And I remember I said to her, like, I'm going meeting Ryan and holding crunch talks with him, and, you know, because I'd already said at this point, like,
we're done.
I think you know, it's done, but I weren't, like, you know, and I just needed to, like, collect my thoughts. And then it was like about 2 days after that I sat down and was like, done, you know. And it weren't nice. It was a very dark time. But that meeting you, for example, like, how many years ago would that have been? Like 4 years ago, whatever, when I met you and had that conversation with you.
2019, yeah, quite nice.
It helped massively.
That's
and obviously I told you everything, and you was fully, you know, understood where I was coming from. You was very helpful, and, you know, I went home feeling good about it for the first time. And then obviously I ended it a couple of days later, and then I went and spent New Year's Eve at my older brother's. And I remember opening up to my older brother and his partner and just telling them everything about the weed, about the arguments, about silly things that obviously my ex had done to me. And it was the first time saying a lot of stuff out loud. And as I was saying it, I was fucking... in my head I was being like, you're crazy for putting up with this for that long. And, you know, like, staying in this fucking toxic environment with the weed and thinking everything was going to get better. And that those two was looking at me and they was like, that is mad. Like, you went through all that and did all that, and, you know, and that was like probably one of the best days of my life, because it was that shift in life, and it felt like a new chapter. And then obviously the next new chapter was obviously when I fucked my dad off out of my life, because he caused me nothing but, like, stress, anxiety. Could never be myself around him for the fucking 28 years that I knew him for. Like, I could never be myself around him. So, like I've said in several other episodes, like, I'd have to force conversation with him, and, you know, and for me, it's just removing them toxic ass people from your life. And ever since, I've been miles better, and, this is obviously thriving. We see each other and speak daily. I'm like really happy with obviously all my family life. Like everyone has struggles every now and then though, do you know what I mean?
Of course.
But the blips I have now are like minuscule compared to what I've been through in the past, and I am very lucky to have what I have, and and sometimes like you take it for granted, you do, but on reflection, like just talking about them dark times and thinking what I've got now, it's like unreal.
Yeah, like night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I'm just blessed to like have what I have, even like having you, my family, and then obviously like I've got my sister and my brothers, just in a good place, and obviously not everyone's fortunate enough to have that. So
they're not, mate.
That's
right.
why we do what we do. And if little disclaimer, if anyone out there who listens to this is having similar issues with like toxic environments or addiction, like our Instagram's always open. If you want a message, even if you want to jump on a fucking Zoom with us, unrecorded obviously.
Yeah, don't have to record it. Fuck it, just chat to us.
Tell us your problems, or like fucking. I've just told you how I kind of overcome mine. I remove myself from the toxic environment, and that works for me. Might not work for everyone else, but like I said, if I didn't do that, I couldn't have ever imagined myself giving up the weed, and probably would have stayed in that toxic environment, and who knows where we'd be today.
Yeah, your life might be in a totally different capacity.
It's mad.
Making that one decision, albeit a hard one, is the better one, isn't it? Sometimes.
100%. And it might not always be. Do you know what I mean? It might not always be, because I've made decisions in the past which led to be wrong. Like my now partner, who I'm engaged with and got obviously children with, we was together back fucking 12 years ago when we was like 17.
Yeah.
And at the time I split up with her, and fucking went on to other shit, and then realised that she was the one for me, and I went and got her back. Had to grovel like a motherfucker, and
it's been worth it, hasn't it?
But if it didn't like, and it takes you to obviously realise, and that's a bit of like maturity as well, I think. At the time, similar to what Ewan was saying on his when we made him on as a guest, like go through that stage of just being a fucking lad and thinking you're a lad even though you're not. And I think me and you are both like been crippled with like social anxiety and stuff, and we've masked it from being a lad, similar to what Ewan was saying. And
yeah, definitely,
that probably what led me to like call it off the first time around with Beth, because she had her head screwed on. She was quiet and mature and just a lovely girl, and at the time I was just a bit more of a fucking bellend and wanted to be a lad.
No, but had you have got together when you were 16, the likelihood of you still being together now is pretty slim, isn't it?
No, of course, and we both needed to go on them journeys to get to where we are today and become the people we are today. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, mate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's today's episode.
That is addiction, mate.
And it's a bit shorter as well, which is good.
We've still got more. Like, don't you worry.
I thought that was the last one.
It is, but we've got more.
Oh right.
More stuff to chat about.
You can't help yourself. You have to get over the hour mark.
We got him, man, and as well, it's the last one of the year.
Right.
So I just wanted to quickly ask you, like, as far as like.
Are you drinking? Oh yeah. So today.
No, I'm gonna ask you that at the end. Oh mate, you're fucking hanging.
Go on, mate. I'm only asking.
So what is last year like? As far as like 2023 goes, like, what's been good?
What, this year?
Yeah, what's been good?
There's been loads of good. Obviously, most of the goods are obviously the children.
Yeah.
Because they just amaze you daily, and as testing as they can be, there's also them little nuggets where they just make you smile, and so they're always a fucking highlight. They're number one. Another highlight, obviously family. Is it actually? Oh no, it's not this year. I was gonna say, fucking my dad off all my life, but that was last year.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and then a massive one for me, mate, without sounding cliche and shit, is this. The pod, mate. The pod of fucking doom. Definitely, probably the highlight of me here, mate, because we started spitballing this idea in July on WhatsApp. I can't remember. It was probably around the time you was separating from your ex-partner and was kind of just fucking spitballing shit and was like, you know what? Like, every time we get together, we'll like vent about shit and, you know, X, Y, and Z. Well, why don't we just fucking do a pod? Because I know we've mentioned it before, but we was going to do the pod at the start of lockdown. We was going to call it the Hoppy Hour, and we was just going to talk about all things laddish.
Yeah.
Talk about beer.
But that wouldn't be
vagina.
That wouldn't be like helpful, would it? Whereas I think me and you were very
exactly like we've gone on these journeys.
Yeah.
As I hate the word journeys, it makes me want to throw up, but
I know.
Like, we've gone through that shit and we've come out the other end. Like you said, we easily could have just still been. I could have been in that bubble of toxicity and fucking getting stoned off my tits every night. But I've removed myself from that and now doing something positive. And you know, I know. Obviously, each episode, roughly, just over 100 listens or whatever. Like it's not groundbreaking, but obviously, like we've been here 3 months and. You know, we've got about 300 followers on Instagram, and we've got like between Apple and Spotify, I think we've got like about over 2,000 listens. Like,
mate, it's been amazing.
3 months, we don't push any money into this either. Like, you know, it's all organic. Everyone that reaches out to us is through organic social activities, and we've had 4 guests on. Which is fucking unreal. 2 absolute fucking legends.
I can have a picture of that when we first started, like that we'd do it within the first 10 episodes.
Yeah, like we said,
on.
Mate, our goal would be to get like one person just message us and tell us like we've helped. But you know, we've had, like I said, we've had 2 amazing lads from Andy's Man Club come on, tell their stories. We've learned from them. We had obviously Ewan come on, who was unreal, taught us loads of shit.
Big up Ewan.
Fucking sexy as fuck. And then obviously we had Darren come on, which is just an absolute geezer, mate. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? And he was just a legend with himself, someone that you could talk to for fucking hours. Like, just a proper nice guy. And you know that having them come on as well, because obviously I love our little episodes and shit, but I love getting guests on.
Me too.
Because I love meeting new people and hearing about them, and you know, hopefully it helps them too in some weird way. Just getting it out there, like it might not do, but even if it doesn't. It might help other people listening to them. And, you know, one thing that I love, I notice when I go on, sometimes say, like, if I go on Luke Rucker's Instagram or, you know, Rob Smith's or Ewan's or Darren's, some of them follow each other now. And I don't know whether that's through this or coincidence.
I'd like to think so.
But creating them little fucking spider webs and shit, like, that gives me a fucking hard on, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I buzz that what we're doing is possibly making subtle connections in life, and you know, just it's just mad that if we weren't doing this, people wouldn't be hearing it, and we'd just be keeping it trapped inside, or we'd be going pub and just fucking moaning like 90% of other blokes do. Yeah. At least we put in our not negativity, but we're like channeling it, and then. Well,
we've used it as fuel, haven't we? We've used what's happened to us to do good, rather than use it as an excuse to be fucking. Innate human beings.
Every bit of feedback's positive. We've had one negative, Nelly, but
that was always going to happen, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
That's just a hate. But anyway,
if fucking 99.9% of people have said it's fucking really good what you're doing, lads, the majority have to be correct, don't they?
100%, mate.
Yeah, but I was going to like just add to what you just said there, mate. Like when we first started this, I was obviously separated from my wife and stuff like that, and it was fucking really tough time for me, to be honest. And having the opportunity to do this with fucking one of my best mates, like, it gave me a lot more purpose. Like, I've got a job. Yeah, are you going to sing Bieber to me?
That's popped straight into my head, the Bieber song.
Yeah, innit?
I was going to get my phone out and start playing it. Sorry, that was very inconsiderate.
No, don't be daft. And, like, I work, I'm a dad and stuff like that, but, like...
Dilf.
Absolute dilf, mate. But... This has given me so much more stuff to like put my mind to, and I know that it's going to be there's going to be a positive outcome from it. Like us doing this is never going to be a negative to us or anybody else. No, do you know what I mean?
It's literally been 3 months since we started it. Do you know what I mean? It's only going to get better. Like, you know, like I said, we've had ideas and. just about getting the time to execute them, but we're learning every single time. Like, was even talking today about getting mics, because we don't even have mics, we just do it on the laptop.
Yeah, so, I've hit up the We Are Future Free boys to give us some
tips.
Some tips,
Their setups on fleek.
Their setup's mega.
So, like, you know, even little things like that is going to improve it, and then hopefully get more guests on. The goal, I think we need to have a bit of a strategy day again, because we've not had one in a while.
Or brainstorm. And
kind of jot down our goals.
Well, we roadmap, didn't we? Episodes 1 to 10, and then that's been a very good success. So I think we need to do like 11, which is this one, to 20. Yeah,
but even just like our goals, I'd like to get someone semi-famous on it.
But how? We're fucking no marks, mate.
Yeah, but the more followers we get and the more noise we make, it don't even have to be someone famous. It could be someone from fucking Coronation Street. Do you know what I mean? Someone semi-famous, like, get them on and them tell their story, and, you know, that could give us a bit more exposure. So that's one thing I'd like to do. It doesn't have to be this year. Could be like in 2 years or 3 years. So there's that, and then there was something else I wanted to do as well. Oh yeah, we've been mentioning about at some point maybe like doing video. I don't even know whether, you know, it depends, because obviously, like you mentioned, Future Free Boys before. Yeah. They do video and theirs looks mint. They do it bang on. But I want to get us obviously on YouTube at some point. It doesn't have to be the video; it could just be the audio with like the little graphic that we do for the episode.
Yeah, that'd be a start, wouldn't it?
And then eventually get on TikTok and all that shit. But yeah, mate, just constantly fucking bettering ourselves and other people, and bringing other people to us, educating us, and just want to be them guys, mate. Because I think what we do is pretty niche for a podcast about mental health and giving people a platform to. That's what I was alluding to before as well, like about getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It gives a bigger platform for people, you know, and more people hear it and more people come on. Yeah, I'd like to get a girl on the show.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then that's what else I was thinking as well. I want to get not a sponsor, but we've mentioned it a few times. Where we do the Who You Drinking shit, it'd be cool to get like a, you know, like a Beer Hawk or a Brew Dog, or what's them beers called where you order the crate and they send you a random beer every month?
I think that is Beer Hawk.
No, I don't.
Beer 52.
Beer 52.
Yeah.
Even get them, like, smash us a crate over and we'll shout all your shit out. Like, do you know what I mean? And that could be the monthly thing, and then that's our Who You Drinking sort. We no longer have to go to Tesco and get shit beers.
I know. That'd be fucking incredible, wouldn't
it? And it arrives on our doorstep. Do you know what I mean? And we can plug them as well and shout out discount codes. I'm going to get onto them. I am.
DM the shit out of them.
So yeah, there's all that coming. I know obviously we've got our fingers in all kinds of pies. We had conversations with Boys Get Sub 2. Yeah, they're class, aren't they? They're mega. We had conversations with them about collabing with them, so that would be something to do in the future. And then obviously I know we spoken to another clothing brand which was like sustainable mental health and stuff, which was got Otis. Yeah. They wanted to do a collab t-shirt with us, so you know we've got the ideas. We're just not fucking octopuses, mate. Like we haven't got fucking 8 arms.
Both working full time as well and being like dads and shit, like
full-time dills, full-time fucking computer wankers. Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then we do this as well. You do all the planning for it and you smash it as well. You always have fucking absolute essays, and then I obviously just smash out the social and I do the snipping of the episode.
Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine, mate, isn't it?
No, it is. It can complement each other really well. But yeah, have you got any more questions? Or are we wrapping it up, mate?
We'll wrap it up, mate, like a fucking dildo.
How?
Wait, what? I've been watching Bruno today, so I've got dildos on the brain.
Oh, mate. Well, it's been a pleasure signing off for 2023.
It's been mega, mate. I can't wait for fucking next year, bro.
Yeah, mate. So, yeah. TBC out.
TBC out.
Peace.